In a pure military context, technical intelligence is intelligence about weapons and equipment used by the armed forces of foreign nations. The related term, scientific and technical intelligence, addresses information collected at the strategic level. Technical intelligence is intended primarily to allow the armed forces to avoid technological surprise. Knowledge of the characteristics and capabilities of enemy weapons allows nations to develop effective countermeasures for them. Occasionally, armed forces adopt technology developed by foreign nations. The jerry can of World War II is an example of foreign equipment adopted by the U.S. Army. Technical intelligence should not be confused with intelligence obtained by technical means. That is a term of art used in discussion of disarmament to mean information gathered by various sorts of cameras, sensors, or other devices. Technical intelligence is the product. Technical intelligence derived from the collection, processing, analysis, and exploitation of data and information pertaining to foreign equipment and materiel for the purposes of preventing technological surprise, assessing foreign scientific and technical capabilities, and developing countermeasures designed to neutralize an adversary's technological advantages. Scientific and technical intelligence reveals more than the foreign equipment itself. It is the product resulting from the collection, evaluation, analysis, and interpretation of foreign scientific and technical information that covers a. Foreign developments in basic and applied research and in applied engineering techniques. B. Scientific and technical characteristics, capabilities, and limitations of all foreign military systems, weapons systems, and materiel, the research and development related thereto, and the production methods employed for the manufacture. It covers not just the equipment, but the process by which it was developed and produced, the production rate of the country or organization making it, and possibly the economic and other priorities given to the project. Given that scientific and technical information is an important part of a nation's competitive position in world markets, S&AMP-T blurs into economic intelligence, which is defined by the U.S. government as government-sponsored or coordinated intelligence activity designed to unlawfully and covertly obtain classified data and/or sensitive policy or proprietary information from a U.S. government agency or company, potentially having the effect of enhancing a foreign country's economic competitiveness and damaging U.S. economic security. Convicted CIA spy Aldrich Ames collected $4.6 million for selling classified information on CIA activities to the USSR and Russia. In contrast to the sale of government information, Ronald Hoffman, a project manager for a company called Science Applications, Inc., made $750,000 by selling complex software programs that were developed under secret contract for the Strategic Defense Initiative. The CONTAM software tracks the plumes that rockets and missiles leave in the wake and, therefore, has both military and civilian applications. Hoffman sold his wares to Japanese multinationals Nissan Motor Company, Mitsubishi Electric, Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, and Ishikawa Jima Harima Heavy Industries that wanted the information for civilian aerospace programs. He was arrested in 1992. Porteous identifies two kinds of economic intelligence that are distinct from S&AMP-T: trade negotiation intelligence, macroeconomic intelligence, the technical intelligence process. The production of technical intelligence is a specialized sort of bureaucratic scholarship harnessed to the needs of the armed forces. A multi-service manual describes U.S. military doctrine for TECHINT. Typically, the technical intelligence process is divided into collection of material and related documents. Chance plays an important part in the collection of foreign weapons and equipment. The collection phase typically begins when a soldier finds something interesting on a battlefield or a defecting pilot flies an aircraft to a friendly country. In a famous case, Viktor Ivanovich Belenko flew a Soviet MiG-25 Foxbat to Hakodate, Japan on 6 September 1976. The United States granted Belenko asylum and assisted in the dismantling of the aircraft so that it could be crated for return to the Soviet Union. Bureaucratic procedures have been established for development of requirements, i.e., wish lists, to guide systematic collection efforts. Material required may be obtained through any number of channels. For example, material may be obtained through commercial channels. An attaché might ask a foreign official for information about a piece of foreign equipment. Clandestine operations have been mounted to obtain critical enemy material. Probably the most expensive and most ambitious was construction of Hughes Glomar Explorer by the Central Intelligence Agency to obtain the wreckage of Soviet submarine that sunk in the Pacific. Exploitation. The exploitation phase includes various types of technical and operational tests. The services have well-developed procedures for testing various types of material. Testing often includes operating the item and non-destructive testing. The Air Force Historical Studies Office web contains an excellent account of the exploitation of Axis aircraft during World War II. Production of finished intelligence. The production of technical intelligence includes preparation of a variety of reports and documents. TECHINT documents include a wide range of materials from brief messages and reports prepared in the field to extensive formal studies prepared by teams of researchers. During World War II, the Army prepared technical manuals on certain items of enemy equipment, included information about enemy equipment in catalogs of enemy equipment and in handbooks about foreign forces, and published technical intelligence in various reports. Tactical agencies. United States. The primary technical intelligence agencies of the United States government are Department of Defense units. Defense Intelligence Agency is the primary intelligence agency of the Department of Defense. It is charged with providing military intelligence to policymakers, warfighters, and defense planners in the department, as well as to national-level consumers and the United States intelligence community. The Missile and Space Intelligence Center, Redstone Arsenal, AL, which is a unit of the Defense Intelligence Agency, MSCI, is charged with producing scientific and technological intelligence on adversary surface-to-air missiles and ballistic missile systems with ranges less than 1,000 kilometers. National Center for Medical Intelligence at Fort Detrick, MD, which is a unit of the Defense Intelligence Agency. AFMIC is the only organization in the world with this comprehensive medical intelligence mission. As such, it has a diverse customer base, from operational and tactical commanders, preventive medicine personnel, and medical planners and researchers to the policy makers in the DOD, the White House staff and other federal agencies. Armed Services Units. The National Ground Intelligence Center, Albemarle County, Virginia, just north of Charlottesville, which is a subordinate to the U.S. Army Intelligence and Security Command. The NGIC provides scientific and technical intelligence and general military intelligence on foreign ground forces in support of military commanders, force and materiel developers, Department of the Army, Department of Defense, and national-level decision-makers. The National Air and Space Intelligence Center, Wright-Patterson, which is subordinate to the U.S. Air Force Air Intelligence Agency, in an extension of TECHINT. Predecessors of the National Air and Space Intelligence Center were involved in the search for unidentified flying objects in the 1950s and 1960s. A section in the Office of Naval Intelligence handles technical intelligence activities for the U.S. Navy. Those activities were formerly carried out by the Naval Intelligence Service Center in Suitland, MD, and by its successor the Naval Technical Intelligence Center. National Intelligence Units. The National Security Agency at Fort Meade, Maryland, does scientific and technical analysis on foreign communications and communications security equipment, as well as foreign research in these areas. Historical examples of field technical intelligence. See Operation Biting for information on a British raid to capture German radar for technical evaluation. R.V. Jones was the leading World War II British expert on electronic warfare. He was one of the primary analysts of the Oslo Report. U.S. programs at the end of World War II included historical technical intelligence programs include Operation Paperclip, the general program directed at German scientists and engineers at the end of World War II. It is most often associated with rocket science. Other contemporary efforts included Operation Alsos, focusing on nuclear science and engineering, and Operation Lusty, devoted to aerodynamics. Use of enemy material in the field. Troops involved in technical intelligence operations have used knowledge of foreign material to put enemy equipment to use. For example, Army troops used German military telephone wire and medical supplies to aid civilians in France during World War II. Similarly, Joseph E. Smith, who edited Small Arms of the World in the 1960s, reported that the U.S. Army captured a large supply of German mortar ammunition in France during World War II. It was discovered that the German ammunition could be fired from U.S. mortars. Troops in the field prepared a firing table for the American mortar firing German ammunition by test firing the German ammunition. National-level policy. The U.S. Economic Espionage Act of 1996 criminalizes two kinds of activity, which may be done either by foreign powers for makes the theft or misappropriation of a trade secret a federal crime. To some extent, the Act addresses an international problem, but not all countries regard unauthorized technology transfer as illegal, when done for commercial purposes. Technology transfer that involves militarily critical technology is more commonly a matter. This law contains two provisions criminalizing two sorts of activity: theft of trade secrets to benefit foreign powers, theft of trade secrets for commercial purposes. Categorizing an individual act can be complex, as some national intelligence services have provided scientific and technical intelligence to private firms based in their countries. It becomes even more complex when the information is provided to an organization partially or fully owned by the government, and that organization competes in commercial markets. Other complexities arise when the information is not actually stolen, but where the Foreign Intelligence Service buys one copy of a high-technology product, and then reverse engineers its technology to use in its own products. End-user license agreements forbidding reverse engineering are common in software, but less so in other business areas. Violation of export controls may overlap with information acquisition, or the exported equipment or materials may themselves be things difficult for the offending country to produce. According to the U.S. National Counterintelligence Executive, 108 countries tried to obtain U.S. technology in fiscal year 2005. Most of the effort, however, centered around a small number of countries, and CIX named China and Russia among this small number, just as they have since the CI community first began systematically tracking foreign technology collection efforts in 1997. By no means, however, is the US the only target, nor are China and Russia the only countries trying to obtain such information. In 2003, Sweden expelled 2 Russian diplomats over accusations of spying at Ericsson, a major electronics manufacturer whose products include avionics for Swedish Gripen fighter aircraft. Even more sensitive, however, is scientific and technical information gathering by allies, such as Japan, France, and Israel.